Hello, everybody. Well, welcome to Talking Balearics with me, Richie in Mallorca.
And me, Martin Makepeace in Ibiza. How are you, Richie?
I'm okay, Mark. How are you?
Cold. I'm cold today, mate. It's not very nice, is it?
Weather's awful. It's terrible.
It's terrible. I mean, I feel like we spent the last 2 weeks talking about weather.
Yeah, well, we have, to be perfectly honest, and now we've got it. I don't know what it's like in Ibiza, but Mallorca's chucking it down.
Just horrible, mate. I've just seen lightning in the sky. We've got a yellow warning today, or was it orange one? I can't remember. So essential travel only, and the schools have been put on standby, mate, because it might go to red. If it goes to red, then there's no school.
Well, my youngest didn't go to school today, actually.
Right. Okay.
My eldest did, but my youngest didn't. So
I bet he liked that, didn't he?
oh, he was over the moon. You can imagine, over the moon. Over the moon, but he did have a football match tonight, and it's been cancelled. So
right, yeah. I think all non-essential. We're supposed to have a quiz night tonight. All the wonders of Ibiza in winter.
Ibiza. Rock and roll, mate.
It's all off, isn't it?
Everybody thinks he's partying in Ibiza now. Quiz nights,
but
brilliant.
That's been called off as well. So as the reigning champions, we're gutted. Now, what have you got for me this week, Rich?
Well, I've done a bit of travelling, and I went through Palma Airport. And very impressed, actually, with Palma Airport, the new stuff they're bringing in. So we'll have a little bit of chat about that. And then there was a guy who was at the World Travel Market last week who said that Mallorca failed in its approach to sort of higher tourism, higher grade tourism, as if it were. Don't quite know what he was on about, but we'll mention that. What you got?
We've got some very polarizing paintings going on the floor of the West End of San Antonio. Like the West End of San Antonio is like this hot potato for anybody who knows it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's always in the news. They're going to do something about that. They're trying to sex it up a little bit, and the jury's out. I've also got a little segment on an interesting way to get between Mallorca and Ibiza, which we'll talk about as well.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Exactly. And also talking about the weather, we've got a little thing about, I mentioned 2 weeks ago where I said, I think they're building on floodplains and they're asking for trouble. There's something in the Balearic Govt about that at the moment. So we'll touch on that briefly as well. So you, as always, the oldest should go first, mate. So that's you, Richie.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
You're welcome, sir.
So apparently, according to, I'm just trying to find this guy's name, actually. Jaime something like this. It always normally is.
Yeah, of course.
He was speaking at the World Travel Market and was basically saying that the thought of turning the market or the market of Mallorca as an expensive destination has been a failure, he says. We had already become a successful destination. It was a good strategy. We're now investing money in managing tourist flows. I'm hopeful in 2 or 3 years, with all these new policies coming in, that things will finally happen, he says.
Pedro Homar from Visit Palma, managing director. Do you know what Visit Palma is?
I've never heard of it, to be honest with you. Obviously, something to do. Another sort of part of the all too familiar, too many in the departments trade, Mr. Omar, whatever you call him. Omar's comments apparently echo those of Susanna Schiacavelli, who, weirdly enough, I did meet a few years ago, actually.
Okay.
She was the Mallorca Tourist Board's Director of Tourism, who told the TTG that the island lived off tourism and that media coverage of recent anti-tourist protests risked inflaming the issue and the debate.
Well, it kind of goes back to the saturation again, doesn't it, really? I mean, all roads lead back to the anti-tourism or the tourismophobia, isn't it? But, I mean, you live on the island. I mean, you're well known over there. Is Mallorca a luxury destination, yes or no?
I would say yes, actually, to be honest with you. I disagree. But look, listen, there's going to be areas that are not. But, we touched on this before. I know we had 75% of the hotels in Calvia, which is the area that I live in, that covers what is it, Magaluf, Santa Ponza, Palma Nova, all those areas. 75% of the hotels are either 4 or 5 star. So that's 3/4, basically. Do you know what I mean? So I think it is now. I think it's changed. Some people say it's too expensive. Some people have, and they have a point. But
When I come over, Richie, I mean, it's a bit like I'm very San Antonio centric, as you know. But when I come over to Calvia Beach, wherever it's called these days, I like to call it by Magaluf, but I think it's
still
called
called Magaluf, mate.
Calvia Beach these days.
In old money.
The gentrification.
Yeah.
I find the hotels there have really gone up market. I feel the whole place has gone up market as well. It's exactly the same as here in San Antonio. There's a brand new hotel being built next to Cibo, which is our local bar, and I think that's a 5-star hotel. If it's not a 5-star, it's definitely a 4-star plus. So all the new hotels that are being built are all 4s and 5 stars. I just feel the whole place is having an uplift. Is it a luxury destination though? I mean, what are we comparing it with?
Well, exactly. If we're comparing it to, say, Monaco, no, we're probably not. But listen, having lived here for 34 years, it's a whole lot better than it was 34 years ago. Let's put it like that, in
Absolutely,
my
yeah,
opinion.
absolutely.
In my opinion, and particularly over the last 10 years, I think, and obviously they're trying to move away from the youth sort of tourism and moving into sort of more, particularly Malaga for more family destination, which I think they've been successful in doing. The problem is the infrastructure around it right now
Yeah.
isn't there. That's the problem.
My kind of thing as well is that Ibiza is a luxury destination. Yes, it is luxury in prices. Yeah, if you compare the prices, in quality, is it a luxury destination? I think it is in nightlife. I think it is in cuisine and gastronomy. Is it in hotels? Well, probably not. I mean, if you go to Asia, that it really is luxury destinations, but they haven't got much else, and they put everything into it. I think here in the Balearics, we've got so much more than just a nice hotel. So I think Ibiza is a luxury destination. I think people will say different, but I think the Balearics on a whole, I think they're really going in the right direction. And I think this overpowering, we've got to get rid of the youngsters. I think it's happening organically.
Yeah, and I think weirdly enough, I'm blogging this week about Christmas in Mallorca. Funny enough, what's what things are happening, etc. And to come to Mallorca for a long weekend or midweek break or whatever, particularly into Palma, you're looking at a fantastic place to come to. With the lights are amazing these days. There's some great boutique hotels in Palma. The cuisine, as you mentioned
Yeah.
already,
But
is
listen,
fantastic.
Richie, Palma's a world-class city. I don't care what
Mm,
anyone says. I think
yeah.
sometimes you do. I think the Mallorquins do it down. I don't think they realise what they've got. Palma with the cathedral, with the marina and the ports there as well. It is world class.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, you only have to look at the port itself and see the money that there is there with all the boats that are there. Plus, obviously, they've been renovating the actual Paseo Maritimo, which is the main road through the sort of the outskirts of Palma or along the portway. I mean, it's been taking a lot longer than I think most people would have thought it was going to take. But once that's finished, it will look spectacular. And yeah, Palma as a city for me, particularly in winter, would be a city that I would definitely come and visit.
Hey, Rich, let me tell you about the West End and the mural that they're wanting to paint on the pavement. Now, you know the West End, Richie. You've been drunkenly
Yeah,
story around the West End
I
many a
have.
time. Yeah, many a
Well, back in
time.
the day, mate. Not lately.
Well,
Back
in the
in the
last
day.
in the last couple of decades, anyway.
Yeah.
Now, the West End is a very polarizing place for all those who don't know it. It's where all the bars are in San Antonio. It's probably about 150 meters long. It's just one road. It used to be several roads, but now it's just one road. Maybe 50 or 60 bars there, maybe less. I would say probably say 30 or 40 bars. And I've got to be honest, it's not the nicest place in the world, but it does offer entry level tourism. You can go there, get a cheap drink. You can have a bit of fun. There's a massive, how can we say, pushback against it in the last 10 or 15 years. In fact, the socialist government that came in 2015, they went out their way to make things difficult for the West End. Now, what they're trying to do now is the local government's trying to, a bit like Magaluf and places around your area, they're trying to up the quality and lower the problems. Now, the latest idea is they're going to paint the pavement. Okay, now it's an artist called Akuda, and it's costing just a little over 300,000 euros to do this as well, which I haven't got a problem with because I think anything you can do to actually make it better or make it funkier or sexier is great. But there's a big pushback from the local politicians as well who say that the money can be spent in different ways. But Can you make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, Richie? Probably not. However, I think it's worth a punt. I know 300,000 sounds a lot, but in today's money, it's not a lot at all. So I think it's worth a punt. And if it gets people talking, it gets people um, uh, on social media, putting on their timeline and stuff, then let's give it a punt. I think the street washers might have to work overtime because they might have to be washing things over off it of a morning, but that goes without saying, doesn't it? So that's something that's run, and it's going to be done by they reckon it's going to be done by Easter. So it's going to take 3 months. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone follows me on Instagram. I'll be putting pictures on there very shortly.
I'll just ask a couple of questions about this, actually.
Yeah.
First of all, Okuda, I take it, is an Ibizan artist, right?
I think he's an artist. I don't think he's an Ibiza artist, but I think he's a famous street. I think he's a famous street artist. Yeah, I think he's well known.
Okay. Also, the artist impression of the artist impression.
Yeah,
that I've been given.
Yeah.
And it says he's going to start painting from January. Surely he's not going to be on his own doing this.
No. I presume it's a big team there for sure, mate. Right, so okay. Yeah, but he's going to take him 3 months. So it's a major undertaking as well. And I think it's a punt. It's a real punt by the local government. It's a PP run, Partido Popular run government here in local government in San Antonio. So it's a real punt. As I said, can you make a silk purse out of sow's ear? Watch this space.
Okay, I've been doing a bit of travelling. And,
go on. What's this about Palma Airport then, Rich? You sent it through me this morning. I didn't know this was happening. What's happening there?
Well, no, nor did I, weirdly enough, because I wandered all the way.
Finger on the pulse, Richie.
Exactly. But basically, I got into the airport terminal building, and every escalator was shut. And I'm thinking, this is a bit strange. They just sending us down to one escalator. And when I got right to the other end of the terminal, then I suddenly looked to my right and noticed that people were filing through to this brand new check-in area, which is state of the art. It was brilliant. It's a little bit like you see in most UK airports now, where you've got the trays that come, automatically underneath. You pick them up, you put them on, you put your stuff in, you walk through so. But for Palma, it was great. But it was. I didn't feel enclosed or anything. It was very open. And
you're not going upstairs. You're not going upstairs anymore.
No, but I think eventually you will be. This is because there was no entrance into duty free, which there normally is, of course, in most airports. Yeah, duty free obviously is a big thing for all airports. You know what I mean? And most airports, when you leave security, you walk straight into duty free, don't you? So. So I think that's coming. I don't think it's been finished yet. That's the reason why we didn't. Basically, we walked from there into the different terminals that we were going to. I think Terminal A is now closed, so it's now just B, C, and D. B is normally the internal flights, into the islands and possibly across the mainland. But C and D are mostly the international flights. And I was very impressed, actually. Very impressed.
Was it busy? Was it a busy airport?
No, I wouldn't say it was busy. No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't that busy, to be perfectly honest. I mean, we were talking, I can't remember what day it was, but it wasn't busy, no.
Okay. And do you think, was there any publications, any press about this new fangled security?
Yeah, it was in the bulletin. It was in the bulletin.
Yeah.
I did catch it in the bulletins. Although, as I say, I hadn't actually known about it when I was traveling. I just obviously was walking along blind into my normal, where I was going to go and everything else. And suddenly then realised that this new check-in area was open. I think it opened last week.
Okay. I mean, Ibiza Airport, similar. I presume if it's coming to Palma, it'll come into Ibiza soon, because whatever you do, we probably a year later, we do it. But Ibiza Airport now is so much different to how it used to be. It's massive compared to how it used to be. Security actually very good. You get through there very quickly. I mean, it's one of those airports that I'm still arriving 35 minutes before my flight and still got on time, mate. So
that's good.
Yeah, I'm always there.
Yeah, security at Palma Airport wasn't great before, but this looks like it's done better.
Did you say you don't have to take out the fluids and all that thing now?
Yeah,
as well?
Yeah,
so,
that's
so
right.
You just leave. Oh, right, okay. That's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, huge. So good.
What about seaplane? So I might not even have to use the airport anymore, mate, because I'm booking a journey on the seaplane.
Yeah, this is interesting. I saw this story actually. Isla Air is the name of the company.
It
I've
is,
been
yeah.
reliably informed.
Yeah, it is.
And this is basically seaplanes. This is like as if you're in the Maldives, Mark. You know, as you
I've
would
been
know. I mean,
following.
you've probably done the Maldives, I
I have
imagine.
done
You
them.
know,
I have done the
there you
Maldives,
go. Of
Richard.
course you
Yeah.
have. Of course you have.
But I've been following this story for years, actually, and it came out in the press this week that they've already spent €7 million making it ready. Now, what it is, it's a seaplane between Palma and Ibiza. So you take off from Palma, I presume Palma port. Yeah, we're right in front of the cathedral, and you
Well,
land.
you've been struggling at the airport, to be honest. Unless it's been raining.
At the moment, you'll be right at the airport, and then
Yeah.
you land at Ibiza port, as in front of the old town as well. So, and then 19-seater, basically the 19-seater planes. You get on there. They say literally you arrive half an hour before. You're given your boarding card. You stack your suitcase in, and away you go. Now, this has been rumbling on, Rich. I think 4 or 5 years this has been rumbling on, and how could they make this pay? I don't understand they can make it pay. I mean, they've already.
Well, I was about to ask you if you knew anything about pricing because I haven't seen anything on pricing
No,
yet.
no, but I mean,
Okay.
if they've already spent 7 million, right? So someone with very deep pockets is doing this because
Mm.
realistically, I mean, you can't charge more than 100 quid, can you? Really, one way between Palma and Ibiza. So, but it's very interesting. It's a bit like the drone. Remember when Amazon painted the drones to drop off
Mm.
in the gardens? I think that was never happened. I think it started to happen already. So, I mean, stranger things have happened. So maybe in 3 or 4 years' time, mate, we'll be on the seaplane. You know,
Do we know how long it takes, Mark? Is
half an
there any
hour,
sort
half an hour. Yeah,
Oh,
they
so
said
it's similar to a
same.
normal flight
They
then?
said half an hour, 30 minutes, 19 seaters. Literally half an hour before turn up, scan your boarding card, put your suitcase in, and away you go. So, and the picture looks pretty cool as well, mate. So,
Yeah. No, it
yeah, yeah.
does. It does.
Well, I'm waiting as a major influencer these days, mate. I'll be waiting for my
Of course.
free trip on the island. Was it Isla Air seaplane?
Well, I suppose also that you're going to miss all the crowds. I mean, literally, there can't be. There's obviously there must be some sort of passport control, I imagine, or of some ilk. But you're going to miss all the crowds at the airport, though.
Yeah, I know you are. I mean, it's a very novel way of flying, and I'll be quite excited to do it when I eventually do it. But I'm still not convinced it's going to get off the ground, Richie. Boom! See what I did there?
Oh, very good. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
very good.
See what I did
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
Um,
very good.
what about housing on floodplains, Rich? What's Marga Prohen saying?
Yeah, I saw this story actually in the bulletin, and was this for Ibiza or Mallorca?
Uh,
I thought I saw it
I
about Mallorca.
Listen, I can't work it out, but I presume that they're using a generic Balearics. Now, just to give you some background, Marga Prohens is the president of the Balearic government. She's from PP, which is the right wing or centre right government as well. She's our version of the Iron Lady, isn't she? She's quite a tough old girl, isn't she, Marga Prohens? And me and Richie was saying a couple of weeks ago about them building on floodplains, and now the Balearic government are just about to ban building on floodplains. But Richie, where's the floodplains? Tell me.
Well, interesting because I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
No, I don't think anybody
Because
knows. This is the
well,
problem.
look, I think we talked about this last week. I said to my wife, "Well, Somferer's flooded." She said, "Well, Somferer floods every week." So
Yeah,
is that a floodplain?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just I don't that is due to the fact that obviously where it is and and everything else. I think we're talking about it could be something in and around San Lorenzo, those sort of places where this happened before, below the mountains, etc. Because this is where the problem lied in Valencia, wasn't it? That they were built on basically on the sort of the bottom
On the
of
side of
mountainside.
the Torrent, basically, aren't
Yeah,
they? So when the
yeah.
Torrent flooded, it went straight into the houses.
Mm. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, look, we all know we've got a housing problem here. So there is going to be this sort of situation where can you build if you can't build on the floodplains? And as you said, where are the floodplains?
Well, I just think
So
it's open to corruption and problems, isn't it? Because nobody knows. they've not, again, this is the thing when it's Balearic politics, they're not very transparent, are they? Because we don't know where they don't know where they're talking about. Is it Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, Formentera? Where are the floodplains? And what you're going to get, Rich, you're going to get some government-sponsored architect telling people they can't, their land, who they thought was very buildable and worth millions, is just about to be rendered useless because it's on the floodplain. And that's going to cause dramas, isn't it? So I feel this one's rubbing on. I think they're due to take a vote, but I think they've put the vote off, haven't they? Because there's been a bit of pushback from it from the other side. Mesta Mallorca, believe it or not, funny enough, they're against it.
No, really, you shouldn't surprise me.
I think they're against that. They're against everything, Rich. We're not quite sure what they're for.
The problem that the government have here, obviously, is that they are governing in a minority as well, which means that, to get something through Parliament is very, very difficult unless you get sort of all party, to agree on something, which, as we know in politics, is very, very difficult to do.
Well, it's all very polarized, isn't it? I mean, I don't think the Balearics is any different to anywhere else. So, especially after my Trump prediction last week came home to roost, didn't it? So, Team Trump,
very good.
Go. Yeah,
that's it.
That's Team Trump. So that's it. But I mean, Balearic politics, I don't think it's as polarized as the US politics, but I think it's probably almost there, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, mate. Anything else?
No, I think we've rattled through it.
Nice and quick this week, mate. I'm going to Benidorm again tomorrow to play cricket for the weekend. So
very nice. Play cricket.
I know.
It's a nice ruse, Mark, but we all know what you're going for. Do you know what I mean? It's not cricket, is it? Let's face it.
Well,
is this the Balearic Cup that got cancelled?
No, this is our norm. No, this is a normal tour that we do anyway. No, or let me say, I'll be on the cricket field. There you go. That's a better way of saying it. So I'm looking forward to that. On the boat tomorrow. If talking about connections, I've been on the boat a few times this year, and I've got to say the ferries from Ibiza these days are fantastic. By the way, just to let you know, it's a great way to travel on the ferry. So looking forward to that.
You can go Ibiza straight into the mainland, can you?
Yeah, we go Ibiza. I think the ferry comes Mallorca, Ibiza, Denia, and then on the way back it goes Denia, Ibiza, Mallorca. So they drop off with us first, then drop off to you. But the ferries nowadays, Rich, they're
nice.
They're lovely, mate. And I know you're going to call me a snob, but I always pay a little extra and go in first class, and it's
really, you do surprise me, Mark. You really do surprise me.
That, isn't it?
And I take it's the fast ferry, it's not the slow one.
It's more or less 2 hours door to door, mate. So I'm looking forward to that. So listen, have a great weekend, Richie. Good to talk to you.
And you, mate. All the best.
And I'll speak to you next week.
All right, take care.